Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Colorado Rockies. I'm going to stop calling them quarters because these are just large swaths of time and it's getting confusing for me. So, this is episode 2 of the 2026 season. That's how we're going to refer to it now moving forwards, basically. But welcome back to 2026 Colorado Rockies. And as you can see on the screen, congratulations to the Arizona Diamondbacks. They won the World Series against the Baltimore Orioles in 6 games. It was a good season for the Arizona Diamondbacks. They had one of the most clutch offenses in the league, and they had a fairly solid bullpen to go along with a pretty, I would say, average starting rotation, in all honesty. But that offense is amazing. I mean, you've got your McCarthy, your Lawler, your Marte. Carroll had a downer of a season and still managed to hit 24 home runs. You have, of course, Moreno, Luke Raley as well, Paul DeYoung, even Alex Thomas coming through with a pretty solid season at 1.2 WAR. It was just good. They had a really good squad, very, very solid team, and they managed to take down the Los Angeles Dodgers in 4 games in the division series after taking down the Cincinnati Reds. It was an easy 5 game situation against the Mets where they won 4 of those 5 games, and then it looked pretty easy against the Baltimore Orioles. They only needed 6 games to take them down. And I mean, that's not saying it's easy, but it was pretty solidly theirs to lose. They won the first 2 games. I think they lost the third, won the fourth, lost the fifth, and then won the sixth game. So good season for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Also, again, Baltimore Orioles, very good team. Won 88 games in the regular season. That's actually a very low number compared to what I expected them to win, which was, I think, about 95. The D-backs, of course, winners of 98 in the regular season. So interesting results to the end of the season. How did we do? Well, the wheels kind of came off a little bit. We had a lot of good luck in the first half of the regular season, and we ended up losing 87 games over the course of the full regular season. It was still a very respectable finish, but if you look at the sub league, we still finished basically in the bottom basement of the league. We're still expecting potentially now to have a semi-decent draft spot. I think we're projected for 7th. That's before the lottery comes through, basically. So it may be up or down depending upon how we result, but we should still get one final good draft spot before we potentially become 500 and above for the rest of our time, or at least the foreseeable time, playing as the Colorado Rockies. So let's get you up to speed on what happened after we left off in the last video. So we ended up signing every single one of our prospects, all of our draftees, except for the one character that was the Alex shortstop character. We did not have enough money to be able to offer him a quantifiable contract, unfortunately. But we even got Braden Harris. So the guy who wanted, oh, it was like 9 million. No, we ended up giving him $10 million signing bonus, and he actually took it. It was all the money we had left at one point. So he joined the squad. He is going to be in to our rookie system next season, and he is now officially prospect ranked number 91. So that was a good choice. I'm glad we got that. We did get, of course, Larry Kunkel, and Larry is now the number 2 overall prospect in baseball. So we are doing very well in terms of drafting. Our drafts are chef's kiss perfect. They are exactly what they should be. Now, interesting little side note, because we traded away Bray and Bello to the Phillies, the AI didn't recognize in time that that meant we didn't have a representative for the All-Star game. So we didn't have anybody at the All-Star game for ourselves because it should have been Bello. So unfortunately, we didn't have one. And that is a shame, but unfortunately expected. Oh, man. Nam is going to be the bane of my existence moving forwards. This, ladies and gentlemen, is why I was trying so hard to sign him, and I was even willing to go for $34 million, because this is the results that you want to see. He comes into the league, and he has is this a triple crown? No, he doesn't have the strikeouts, but this is everything but the triple crown going to Nam and the Brewers. I'm surprised they didn't win it all this year. But All-Star game came and went. We did have some prospects in the prospects game. That was, of course, Richard Dominguez. He actually pulled out a very respectable season in the rookie ball, even though he is now down to 4.5 stars. So we're going to try to push him for more development to get that back up to 5 stars. And we'll see what happens for the rest of his time developing here in our system. But again, our goal Our goal was to make him at the end of the ropes, at the end of the train tracks, or whatever you want to call it, a 4-star pitcher. That is the goal. The goal is to have him settle into a 4-star pitcher, hit that 4-star rating, and be able to use him as that quality of a starting pitcher. Because at the end of the day, it's highly unlikely that anybody that you draft or internationally sign or find as an international discovery is ever going to retain 5 stars. It's nigh impossible unless they are a generational talent that just does not have the, you know, chance to fall below 5 stars. So unfortunately, Dominguez was unfortunately losing a little bit of quality over time. Edgardo Hernandez joined the prospects game. He actually ended up joining the big league squad shortly after that. Played 14 games with us for 19 innings pitched. Was actually very respectable for us. So he will be a staple point next season. And then, of course, we do need to talk about Charlie Condon. He ended up having a very good season in AAA, ended up with 55 home runs. He was representative in the All Star game. He will be playing first base next year for us for the foreseeable future. And then that was it. That was all the prospects we had in the system for the season. We're going to have more, of course, down the road. Bernard had a really good season down in Fresno. He played the entire season in a mixture of rookie ball and Fresno, and he ended up having I think it was in rookie ball technically, which he shouldn't have been there, but he had a 26-game hit streak end. But it was really cool to see him do that. We did find a couple of international discoveries, one of them being Ivan Lara out of the Dominican Republic. He's an interesting, we're going to try to make him into a bullpen arm. He's added a knuckle curveball already, which is the weirdest thing. He added a knuckle curveball to the repertoire, but we are going to be pushing for movement control and then just the changeup and the cutter. So I'm hoping that I can develop those two pitches, make him into a reliever, because I don't think either of these other pitches is really going to develop that well unless he gets a whole bunch of additional speed and the fastball suddenly becomes a 50 or 60. So we're going to start with him with the idea of him being a bullpen arm because I think that would actually be way better and way more feasible for him in the foreseeable future. We got to the trading deadline and we made 2 deals. We ended up picking up Felix Bautista and Josiah Hartstone in a deal that involved us sending them just Hunter Goodman. It was a very weird trade, but they wanted it, so we gave it to them. So we have Felix Bautista, who was 3.5 stars when we picked him up. He's now down to 3 stars. He was having a phenomenal season in Baltimore. I don't know why they got rid of him. And then, of course, Josiah he was a rated prospect at that point, but we still have high hopes he can come back to that rated prospect ability. He will be an interesting corner outfielder that we might be able to develop over time as well. The second deal we were offered was from the Baltimore Orioles as well. Yes, a second Baltimore Orioles deal. We ended up sending them Alex Vesia and Luis Mendez, and we picked up Eduardo Beltre, who was an interesting corner outfielder as well. We also picked up Elvin Garcia in the deal, an interesting third base shortstop, and then Chase Alsop, a starting pitcher who is going to be in A-plus ball. And that was all for, again, Alex Vesia, the good reliever who unfortunately tore his back muscle, so didn't even get to play a whole lot of time over there in Baltimore. And then, of course, Luis Mendez, who was not too bad, but also not the best in the world. So pretty good deals for us for the for the trade deadline. It was actually a very successful one. We went ahead and extended Aaron Chevali for 2 more seasons. We're going to give him 1.6 million and 1.8 million for 2 more years. This will give us time to be able to develop our young prospects. Chevali's come in and did, in my opinion, a decent enough job. I think he's done pretty good. I know we had him in the bullpen at some points this season, but I think he'll be a staple point starting pitcher for us coming into the next season, and it just gives us depth for a really cheap starting pitcher that we like better at that point. We did get some awards over the course of the regular season. Some people won Pitcher of the Years and Pitchers of the Months. It was actually pretty substantial what we were able to get. Reliever of the year, top pitcher of the year, both for the Spokane and Albuquerque. No, both of them Spokane. So this was both the A-plus team right about there. So they had the best starting pitcher, 2 of the best starting pitchers, almost 3, and the best. A couple of the best relievers, and that's LMAO Hernandez, who we are also looking at with high prospect ability as well. So we'll see if LMAO can become some down the road. California, Fresno had the best manager of the season. Gabriel Hughes won the best pitcher award for Fresno Grizzlies. Clayson right behind him, and right below them, Alberto Pacheco. We also had best manager for AAA. That was, of course, Jared L. Simon. He is our Albuquerque Isotopes manager. They won 100 games and were absolutely destroying their league. That's mostly because they have a lot of the older people there, people who really shouldn't be in the organization. And they also have Charlie Condon. So what are you going to do about that? But if we look at it based off of, AAA numbers, I mean, you've got a couple people who are just probably not supposed to be here. The entire rotation is pretty much just too good for AAA. Speaking of rotations, that would be, of course, Chase Dollander. This is the weirdest part, in my opinion, about this whole entire thing. Chase Dollander is now officially, from Major League Baseball's perspective, a 2.5-star closer. They've converted him to a closer, but he should be a starter. I think he's going to have to be a closer at this point. He's now 2 stars for a starting pitcher, but he had a great season in AAA, so I don't understand how he can have a good season there, but then just not be very good at a major league level. I guess it's just that jump again from AAA to the majors. So unfortunately, he didn't have he had a great season. He wins pitcher of the year for AAA, but it's just not looking so good for Chase Dollander, unfortunately. Of course, Charlie Condon wins Batter of the Year for AAA. We also, of course, had, or no, sorry, this is MVP, I believe, technically. So Chase Dollander is on this list. Emmanuel Valdez, who actually retired this year. So unfortunately, he ends up having a really good year in AAA, his second back-to-back really good year. We just didn't call him up, and he's just not a good enough defender. So at the age of 27, he will be retiring instead of continuing on with us into the next upcoming season. Ryan Ritter got 1 vote out of everybody else in this list, and he is an interesting prospect. We might actually be looking to trade him for maybe like a longer term deal prospect down the road. I don't know. It's just hard to see him really fitting in with Tovar already on the major league organization. So we'll see how it goes, but Ritter might be trade bait down the road here at this point. Otherwise, we began our monthly international scouting practices right before the playoffs finished. At this point, we were able to get our list of players that was revealed to us. There are a couple individuals that we're very interested in, and I'll go ahead and show them off here in a second. We are interested in, if I can get back to majors, there we go. So Jonathan Martinez is definitely the best pitcher in the group. He is extremely, extremely good. You're talking about 100 and like 32 out of 100. No, what is this? Is it 132 over 120? That doesn't make any sense. I think it's supposed to be, no, it's 32 out of 120. My apologies. It is almost 10 o'clock over here. I'm getting a little tired. But he's a very good pitcher. He'll be a very good one. Just a ground ball pitcher, but really good hold runners, good stamina. Everybody in the league is very interested in picking up Jonathan Martinez, so it's very, very doubtful that we'll even have a shot at getting him. We are actually more interested in someone like a Jesus Rivera if he continues to develop some of his stuff as our scouting accuracy grows. This would be a good alternative pitcher who might be able to develop and cost way, way less and not have league interest. Otherwise, our other person that we're looking at right now is going to be Lupe. I'm going to call it Lupe. It's probably just Loop. But this is a person that we're interested in as well. He is 3.5 stars by our scouts' opinion, and we think he's actually pretty good. So we're interested in seeing if we can pick up him and maybe Rivera, just to be able to see if maybe it's a little bit better than what the OSA and the rest of the scouts are looking for. But we'll keep you guys all appraised about what we end up doing with our international training and who we're able to sign for all of those when we get around to the international amateur free agency. Otherwise, this is our arbitration screen. Of course, we're going to be offering arbitration to Felix Bautista. He is a very good relief pitcher. We're going to keep him at least for another season. We're not going to be offering extensions or arbitration to Gonzalez, Herget, Lux, and Palacio. We save about, I think it's going to be about like $9 million about there. We're going to be bringing back Victor Vodnik. He actually was slotted to be our number 5 starting pitcher at the end of the regular season, and I'm interested in seeing if he wants to try that, but I think it's still much more likely that he'll be like our number 2 or number 3 relief pitcher moving forwards instead of anything else. We are going to be losing, of course, Ryan Thompson, Jordan Montgomery, and Nicky Lopez. They're just not going to be continuing on. I know Jordan Montgomery actually had a fairly decent season. He's definitely falling apart in terms of his ratings, so I don't think we're going to even try to offer him an extension. We have other people who can be much better options for starting pitchers. We are going to offer Francis and Anderson both extensions of arbitration. We should be really looking to keep both of them on. They had really good seasons with us, and I'm very happy with how many innings they were able to eat up, and it definitely made our team better. Otherwise, Doyle gets an extension, of course. We're not going to be extending Seth Brown or Walker Bueller, who were in the minor league system. And then, of course, a bunch of our minor leaguers were also not going to be extending at this point because none of them are that good, unfortunately. So not a whole lot in terms of like major shakeups for the team. I know that we had an up and down season. You can see we were doing pretty good, and it just kind of faltered. I would say by probably end of July into August, and it just kind of it plummeted us into September with a really bad season. Unfortunately, not a really bad season, but it wasn't as prime as it could have been. We had good seasons from people like Sterling Thompson, who actually had a 2.7 WAR season. He ended up with 19 home runs, batting 298. Tovar was unfortunately a little bit of a disappointment. Just didn't really have the bat this year that he had last year, and it just really destroyed his chances of being a bigger impact on the team. Yaquiel Fernandez finished 1 RBI shy of 100. I'll take that any day of the week. This is, in my opinion, a quantifiably pretty decent DH if you just don't really have much better. Almost a 40-30 season. That's acceptable for 100 RBIs. I think we're probably still going to be looking at not having him play right field next year if we can get away with him playing DH. So, Yanquiel probably slated for DH starting next season instead of playing in right field. Palacios, I think he's not getting extended with arbitration, so no worries about him. Benny Montgomery ended up really kind of falling apart. Still had a very successful season for us in the majors, considering that he was in literally A-plus ball last year. This is very respectable. Hopefully he can continue to develop and get a little more pop. Maybe he can hit 15 homers a season, and that might get his abilities up to closer to like a 3 or 4 WAR season if he can really push it. It was a good season for Jeromo. Amador, when he came back from his injury, was still pretty good. He ended up having a decent enough season in the big leagues, 1.9 WAR for 100 games plus. Was pretty good for him. I know Nicky Lopez is going to be moving on at this point. He had a good first half of the regular season, kind of died off in the second half, unfortunately. Brenton Doyle had a pretty good season as well. I still feel like as if he can do better on the bat, and it's going to be tough to want to keep him long term if he can't, really use anything beyond his Gold Glove ability in the outfield. So we'll have to see what he can do with his development, and just hope and pray that he can get a little bit more offense behind him. Otherwise, there's going to be a point where we're going to have to replace him down the road. Otherwise, we had a really good season from the bullpen still. I think our bullpen was still one of our better suited places of our team. We were fourth in bullpen ERA, and, we added in Edgardo Hernandez late in the season. We still have Brooks Raley for another year, Felix Bautista for another season now at this point. We're very interested to see how all those people develop and continue to work through our system. We have pushed our budgets, and we still have $35 million left, so if we notice anybody in the international free agents be added, that is a potential another version of basically Nam, then I will make sure that you all are alerted of that at the end of this video. So I'll probably, I'll add it on if there is something big. Otherwise, I will leave it as a surprise for the next video. But otherwise, we're hoping that the $35 million might give us a little bit of flexibility to work through some stuff, but we are still expecting our development system to be pretty good. We've got a lot of people in the rookie ball system, unfortunately. Couple people in AAA who are almost ready to go. So next season, we might have 3 more people in the big leagues, maybe 4 or 5 if we want to put Sullivan and Cox into the rotation. So we'll see how things go. And we'll be playing it by ear over the course of spring training. Our owner was happy with our result. He actually extended us another 2 seasons, I believe, to be able to continue going on with our contract. Yes, 2 more years, $490,000. He increased our budget to $190 million, which means we should have $85 million for payroll. We're currently sitting at about, I think it's like $69 million right about now. So we've got some room to work with at this point. Oh, that's right. And we made one final deal. The Boston Red Sox were okay with giving up Nathan Lukes for Nabil Krismat. I know this is a 32-year-old, but Nathan Lukes might actually be a replacement to Palacios that we can have, and with him with some better results. So we went ahead and made that deal. Nabil was just not really going to be much for the organization. So went ahead and got rid of him, and he was expensive. He was $1.2 million. So good option for us to be able to save some money there. And we'll see if Nathan Lukes joins the squad in the next season, and if he becomes just like the replacement outfielder, the corner outfielder, utility person that we're interested in down the road. All right, here's the last thing I'm going to talk about before we hand you guys on over to whatever else you'd like to do here on YouTube. Our top 10 prospects in baseball at this point. Of course, whom we mentioned earlier, Larry Kunkel is number 2 on that list now officially. That extreme ground ball, 6-pitch starting pitcher straight out of high school. We're going to hopefully develop him as best as he can possibly do. And I'm very interested to see what Larry can do as we develop him, and hopefully he'll be able to hit all of his marks. We also have, of course, Charlie Condon on the top 10 list. And then because of the injuries and the reductions to Dominguez and Cancel, they have dropped to 13th and 15th. Cancel is now 3 months away from coming back. We do, of course, have Quentin Young, also 23rd on that list. So 5 prospects in the top 25. And, right after that, you've got CJ Sampson, who's getting some development about now. Rada still on that list. Jacobs, Rincon, Harris, Paulino, all of those in the top 100. And then we are now officially almost with our entire list in the top 200. So we are doing very well in regards to having depth of prospects, and we'll have to see. We'll have to start making some choices about some of these people in regards to, are they going to be actually quantifiably prospects we want to take with us long term, or are they trade bait for us to try to flip for something that would either make us winners now and get us some better results, or do we just struggle ahead and just see if they develop better? There's going to be a point where I have to make a decision about some of these characters and kind of what's best interested for the organization. But otherwise, the team chemistry was ecstatic at the end of the season. They were very happy with the result. I think we did better than expected still. This was the best season in the Rockies history for, gosh, if I can go back to my information about the Rockies now, what has been our usual? Yeah, so this is the best result in the past 8 years. This is the best winning record in the last 8 years, ever since the Rockies actually pushed the Dodgers for 91 wins and tried to win the National League West back in 2018. So we are making good progress. We are bumping up our winning percentage for .040, so 40% or so. 0.040 every single season. If we do that again, that means next year would be 503. So we'll see if we can make that an accomplishment. And with all that being said and done, I will see you all in the next video. Hopefully, cross your fingers. Hopefully, there's another little part at the end of this video where I talk about someone we're going to try to get in the international free agency section.